Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
Imagine making a difference. No, imagine being the difference. The difference between I can't and I can, or I won't and I will. The reason someone chooses to wake up and strive for greatness. In life, it can feel like everything is working against you. Let's defy all odds and break generational curses. This is Overstepping Poverty with Daquan and Zacchaeus. Welcome back to Overstepping Poverty, the podcast that provides you with tips, tricks, and hacks in overstepping poverty. My name's Daquan Brooks. I'm here with my co-host Zacchaeus Shaw. How you doing, Zacchaeus?
I'm doing good today, brother.
Good.
Excited again to have a great guest on the show. I was just telling you guys, it just seems like every time we get on a new interview, it just feels so long since the last one. So I'm super excited for this one. How was your week this week?
It is. I'm excited as well. My week's good. It's been really good. It's been hot outside. When it comes to the car business, it's kind of like a hit or miss when it's super hot, especially when you're above 100 degrees. No one wants to sit out in the hot and sweat. But that's like South Dakota. You complain when it's too cold, and then, of course, you're complaining when it's hot, too.
For sure.
But no, everything's well, man. I'm excited as well. We're rocking some merch today. I want everyone to see it. Everyone that is. Yep. Let's go. So some of this stuff is exclusive and it'll be out here very shortly. But let's get into this episode here. Let's get into our special guest and who we have on.
Yes. So today, like I said, we have a special guest. A few years back, he started what was a great group, Our Growth Project, here in Sioux Falls, and currently manning an awesome project called Friends of the People, which pertains to poetry here within the community. From West Africa, Sul Dibba on the show today.
Let's
welcome,
go.
brother.
Welcome.
Thank you, man. Thank you, bro. I'm really excited to be on this platform with you guys, man. I think what you guys are doing is not only powerful, bringing different knowledge to the community, to the general public, and bringing in people who I feel a lot of people can learn from. And I know myself, the few episodes that I've seen, I've picked up some gems here and there. And before I kind of get into everything, I want to give you guys your flowers, you know what I'm saying? Because
I appreciate that.
I think that us as men don't really get our flowers. So for me, when I do appreciate people and, what they do, I try and let them know, because you never know. So I want to give you guys your flowers, man. You guys got a great platform, and, like I said, I'm honored to be on here and chop it up with you guys for sure.
Yeah, yes. I really appreciate that. And honestly, the feeling is mutual. We'll just jump into this now. I feel like we talked about it a little bit. I feel like we've known each other for a long time, but we've never been able to get into a place where we're having more of like an intimate conversation and more in depth. And I know I've been to some of your events, you've been to some of my stuff, but I'm excited to really dive into these things because I've seen you since you were at Hy-Vee. Walking the aisles, turning into the manager.
Yeah, man.
Going over to Augie, and we'll get into the journey. But I've been watching the whole time, man, so I'm excited to get into that. So can you take us back to the beginning? Like I mentioned, originally from West Africa. Gambia?
Yep, I was born in the Gambia. It's like, I don't know. It's a weird, like, I'm saying, you got to put some respect on it. The Gambia, because there's only one, obviously. But I was born in the Gambia in August of 95. My father, who was a teacher for 20 years, and then my mother, who was on the opposite side of the spectrum, actually illiterate, and but she was a businesswoman, had some business acumen and could pretty much sell anything to anybody. But I was born there in August of 95, came here in September of 98. My father was a teacher, as I just said, but the year after I was born, in 96, there was actually a military coup. So there was a hostile takeover, and a lot of people got rounded up of different backgrounds, teachers, bankers, political figures, whatever you want to, call it, really. Sure. And my father was one of those people who got arrested, and he was actually in prison for 18 months. Wow. In that process of him being in prison, my mother and all of my siblings, we basically, trying to survive, what I'm saying, while, hoping for the best, because in those types of situations, you never really know what can happen. You know, it can go far left, or, you know, you can make it out. Luckily, my father made it out, applied for political asylum, and then we moved to our neighboring or surrounding country, Senegal, because Gambia is actually right inside of Senegal. So moved to Senegal. Within that whole process of trying to, you know, get documents and everything situated, and then September of '98, through LSS resettlement, came here to Sioux Falls. I'm the youngest of 11. I'm 27. My oldest sibling is near 50. She lives in London, England, and all the siblings are kind of spread around. But yeah, grew up in Sioux Falls ever since then. Went to preschool, Robert Frost, and then Terry Redland for elementary, Whittier Middle School, Washington High School, East Side alumni forever. And then so from Washington, I went to Augustana in 2013, graduated from there in 2017 with a business administration and communication studies degree. And then within that, I think it was my senior year, is when we started our growth project.
Okay.
I was always I started writing in about, I think, junior year of high school. I wasn't as consistent back then,
right?
But I've been writing for about 10 years, and I'd say about in the last couple of years, been writing a lot more consistently. But yeah, started our growth project back in October of 2016. That was started because Wilson, the founder, was at the time a good friend. Well, he's still a good friend of mine. But we linked up because I was doing an event of my own at the time. I was doing like a basketball tournament / fundraiser for, you know, the Gambia refugee camp, because we had a connection to a pastor here in town who would go back and forth and, you know, bring sporting goods to the refugee camp and all kinds of other stuff. So we did a partnership type of a deal, and Wilson was actually helping me with that. And then he was working on our growth project in its early stages. So I was like, yo, what's that? You know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you know, I'm doing this thing, and this is what I'm trying to do, like open mic and arts and poetry and stuff. And like I said, I'm a poet and I'm a writer. So I got intrigued. I'm like, do you need help? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I was like, you know, is there any way I can help? Like, you helping me, let me try and help you out at least. And, you know, he kind of laid out the guidelines and I guess the framework of the organization and what he was trying to do. And I just immediately was like, yo, yeah, I'm with it, you know.
Right.
And so he's the founder, I'm co-founder. Yeah, man, just
that's awesome.
Just it was real cool, and 6 years, you know, strong, and yeah, man, real cool journey.
That's awesome, man. I want to kind of take it back because we're gonna dive into a few of those things. You know, a lot of people, especially here in Sioux Falls, a lot of people don't know from around the country that a lot of people are brought here to Sioux Falls, whether they're refugees or just immigrants, and a lot of it is through LSS.
Yeah. For
you and all of your siblings, did they all? Obviously, not all of them came over here.
No. So myself and 5 of my brothers, and then 2 of my sisters came, and then both my parents, and so my father actually, you know, within my culture and the religion of Islam, he has multiple wives. So I have like half siblings and stuff. I don't really count them as half siblings. Like I view them as my full blood because, you know, we've been through a lot together. And, you know, family's family to me.
100%.
But, yeah, so my father has, you know, multiple wives, my mother obviously being one of them. But, yeah, we came here, I think 8 of us, and then kind of slowly dispersed out. You know, I got family kind of all around the States and overseas, but yeah, it was an interesting journey because when we were coming here, well, when we came here, it was like, you know, the Lost Boys was a thing, the Lost Boys of South Sudan, you know, a lot of refugee immigrants from like Ethiopia, Eritrea, you know, Bosnia, Herzegovina, you know, they went through the Civil War and a lot of them came through here. So just, I was able to really be around a lot of different cultures, which was like, I think one of the greatest gifts that I could have been given, because just I was just exposed to a lot, you know, just as far as culture goes, you know, people, where they come from, you know, their foods, you know, traditions and things like that. And I was able to have friends in many different cultures. So I think that definitely helped me be well-rounded in a sense when it comes to dealing with people.
Absolutely.
Because like, you know, I was fortunate enough to be able to, you know, connect with the refugee immigrant community, but then also with like, you know, the American community, like my white counterparts. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely been, you know, a blessing. And I think to this day, that's one of the best things that I could have experienced. Yeah, for sure.
That is really cool.
You know, I have to ask, obviously that's quite a journey, bringing 8 of your siblings here, your parents obviously coming as well.
Yeah.
I want to know exactly, do you kind of remember their emotions or how they really acted, kind of moving? I mean, you have to get up and you have to pack out everything.
Yeah.
Essentially, you are running from, you know, from a bad place to hopefully a good place, you know. What are some details on that?
I don't necessarily remember the process of us coming here, but my parents always made sure to kind of tell us the story and kind of realize why we're here and how we got here. And so I know that, you know, when we initially came, that obviously it was just, you know, you leaving everything, you know, and coming to a strange land, trying to make a better life for you and your family. So, so for my parents, you know, it was obviously different because me being so young coming here, obviously I don't remember a lot of like back home. So even though I was born over there and you know, I still have that culture within me, I was basically raised as an American. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in American culture. Like that's what I know. Like I was fortunate enough to go back twice, you know, after high school graduation and college graduation. I went back both times. So I was able to see my culture, family, and kind of where I grew up. I saw my birth home, stayed there too. And like, you know, so, you know, I was able to see all that. But, you know, my parents, it was a lot, you know, because within the first 2 years, 2001, my oldest brother actually passed away in a car accident. So you compound that event with trying to navigate a whole brand new space, brand new culture. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to make sure your kids are good, you know, that they're safe, that they're taken care of, you know, they have the opportunities and things like that. I guess early on there was a lot of trauma, you know, coming here. You know, it was, you know, especially my father being in prison, you know, my mother basically taking care of all my siblings and, you know, trying to scrap for stuff, you know, and you know, make sure that we're all good and taken care of. But then coming here, and then, you know, my father, he, for a little bit, he taught at Whittier Middle School for a short stint, kind of like ELL type stuff. And my mother, she worked at Smithfield, John Morrell at the time, but Smithfield now. She worked there for 18 years. So it's just like, just growing up was different because being the youngest of so many siblings, by the time I was an adolescent, all of my siblings are like grown and out of the house. So it's like...
What's the age gap there between you and your closest sibling?
Me and my closest sibling is 6 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, 6 years. When I was in 8th grade, he was leaving to move out of the state.
Oh, okay.
You know, I have one brother here still, but a lot of my siblings, like I said, they kind of dispersed. And so my childhood, a lot of the time, was me being a lone ranger. You know what I'm saying? Like me just being by myself, going to my sporting events, you know what I'm saying? Basketball, football for a few years, and just trying to navigate, man. Just like I'd say a lot of what I know and what I've learned has been trial and error.
Did you feel alone a lot then?
Yes and no. I felt alone in the sense where, you know, you have older siblings and you wish, and this is not a knock to nobody, but you have older siblings and as the youngest, you know, you kind of look up to them and want to emulate them and try and, you know, learn from them. But having that gap and that distance in age, and then just kind of that being at different points of life and going through different, you know, emotions and trials and things like that, you know, and just kind of, we all grew up differently. And then, like I said, you know, my older brother passing away really shook us all up in different ways. I think a lot of the time I was lonely in the sense where I had to deal with a lot of things by myself because my mother's working 5-6 days a week. My dad is working too. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of the time I was at the crib by myself. Like, you know, I was just, you know, going through emotions by myself, trying to figure out how to deal with that stuff, and then still trying to, balance being a good student and, staying out of trouble. Cause, my brothers, like early ages, they, trying to find themselves, being in a new country, all of that, got into some things, you know what I'm saying? And, so being the youngest, you kind of observe all of that, and it's like, well, I know I'm not supposed to do that. You know what I mean? So it's like just trying to figure stuff out as I go. But I wasn't lonely in the sense where, sports helped out a lot.
Okay.
I met a lot of really...
What did you play?
I played basketball pretty much all the way through senior year of high school.
Okay.
I played football from about 6th grade to about sophomore year because I injured my neck in football. And,
oh, dang.
And just... but yeah, football, basketball mainly. But yeah, sports helped out a lot, and I was fortunate to have a lot of friends. I've always been kind of a popular guy. People want to get to know me, want to be my friend. And I kind of use that to my advantage as far as just getting to know people and connect with people and, figure out.
You felt fortunate because you had a lot of friends, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as I mentioned, kind of just through sports and just school and things like that, I was able to, meet a lot of friends in different, from different backgrounds and cultures and things like that. So in that sense, I wasn't lonely.
Okay.
Because, they'd invite me over to their house, we'd have food, or, we'd ride the practices together, or we'd, do stuff on the weekends, play at community centers, we'd hoop and things like that. So in that sense, I wasn't lonely, but, having basically all my siblings out of the house, it was kind of lonely because it's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? That house is kind of quiet, like what am I supposed to do? And, just like anybody, being a teenager and stuff, you go out and you party and you do your thing and, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was kind of a duality, I guess you can say. But I think that it also helped me in a lot of ways because now it's like, I don't mind my solitude. I don't mind being alone. Mm-hmm. Obviously I welcome, good energy and good people and being around them and, participating in people's events and going out and supporting and stuff. But like, I also appreciate my solitude. I also appreciate having that time to recharge and, kind of getting my mind right and things like that. So, yeah. Right.
No matter the age, when you're going through any trauma, it kind of sticks with you.
Oh, yeah.
And what I tend to notice, like even like for the trauma that I went through, as a young kid, and that's just being from foster home to foster home, and being split up from my sister at one point. My trauma is I started to find anger in myself, and I was mad at the world. I was kind of blaming like everyone besides, like why me? That's the attitude I had, But you have very positive spirits, you're a very positive guy, at least is what I see.
How
do you keep that positive energy, always going through everything that you've went through?
I think with me experiencing the trauma that I did, as far as, my brother passing away, and different things that happened within my family, the way I responded initially, and kind of still till today, I'm a problem solver. I kind of always just like, all right, this is what I'm going through. This is what's happening. What can I do about it?
Right.
Like if I can't do nothing about it, then I can't let it overtake my spirits. Obviously, I'm learning now to acknowledge those feelings, acknowledge those traumas, and just, kind of deal with them as they come. Whereas before it's like, all right, bro, I'm just going to repress it and like, just keep going, keep busting through the walls, because it's like, when you come here and you're raised on survival, it's like, you don't really have time to deal with things. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though I did have a lot of time by myself, like, I didn't necessarily know how to deal with it.
Right.
Because, like I said, kind of being alone as much as I was never really taught how to deal with those emotions. I was never really taught how to deal with them in a healthy way.
Right.
But I think what helps me stay in good spirits has a lot to do with my spirituality. Growing up in a Muslim household, being raised Muslim, I think that's helped out a lot. My mother definitely imparted a lot of wisdom upon me as well. And just kind of seeing, like, I'm not saying that, one person's struggle is worse than the other, but kind of seeing how, although I was dealing with all of these things, I was in a lot better position than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And just having that sense of gratitude that although I'm going through these things, I still have these things around me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm still, I woke up. You know what I'm saying?
Man. It could always be, it could be worse. That mentality.
I woke up. I ate today. You know what I'm saying? I have a family. You know what I'm saying? I got people that love me and care for me and support me. And luckily, I was a good kid. You know, I never really got into trouble. I didn't get into trouble. I mean, I did stuff, but never got caught. Yeah. Like a lot of people. Smooth criminal for real. Silent assassin. But no, just I think what helps keep me in a positive headspace is just the kind of that sense of gratitude. Yeah. And like I try even till this day, like when I wake up, the first thing I do is just say, hey, thank you, God. Right. Thank you for waking me up today. Yeah. Thank you for waking me up healthy, able-bodied, and good physical and mental well-being. I don't complain. I could wake up tired as hell, but it's like I woke up, bro.
Man,
I woke up.
I like that.
You know, so yeah, I mean, I definitely go through things. You know, I definitely go through ebbs and flows of funks like anyone.
Yep.
I think now I'm kind of learning, like I said, how to acknowledge those things and just feel and deal with those things as they come. Right. But overall, man, I got a lot to be grateful for. You know what I mean? I have a lot to be grateful for. You know, I've been fortunate to do a lot of, you know, amazing things with amazing people. You know, I've been able to see parts of the world that people probably will never see. You know, I've been able to meet people. You know, I've been able to travel and just maneuver in ways where it's like, bro, you're blessed, man.
Yeah.
You know, you're blessed. Like, no matter what I go through, it's like, I'm blessed, man. It's like,
that's amazing.
That's really it. I'd say, you know, that sense of gratitude. I'm not the model Muslim, you know, I'm not, you know, the best as far as following every single tenet, but that's also played a role in kind of how I deal with things. You know, I think regardless of what you choose to follow, regardless of what you believe in, I think having a connection with the source is super important. You know, whether it's God, the universe, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, I think it's important to have a connection to that source, bro.
Absolutely.
Because on those days where it's dark, those days where you feel like giving up, those days where you feel like you don't have purpose, your breath alone is purpose, bro.
Yeah.
Like I said, depending on what you believe in, but when we were made, you know, that spirit was breathed into us.
Right.
So if we have that spirit of the source within us, you can't fail ever.
You got everything you need.
You got everything you need.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, you can't fail ever if you keep that connection.
That's powerful too. And I think a lot of times, and we've talked about it before, just with people and their spirituality, regardless of what religion you believe in, it really is that thing. And especially for me, because I feel like I'm a spiritual person as well, I have to rely heavy on it.
Yeah, man.
You know, and there's times where when you do get out of that, or you're in a headspace of feeling ungrateful or just like mad about stuff, it is important to reflect.
Right.
And look within yourself and really get grounded.
That journey's important. Man.
Oh man, it is. You gotta make sure you're smelling the roses on the journey. Because
exactly.
There was a video I saw on TikTok. This guy's at the gas station. He's like, everybody going so fast. Don't nobody know where they going.
That homeless dude.
Man.
That dude was an angel, bro. I don't care what nobody says. I believe that guy was an angel, bro.
Yeah.
Like he had to give that message to whoever was listening, and now you saw it, I saw it, how many millions of people have seen it.
Right.
It's the truth, man. Like, it's so easy in this culture to just go. You know what I'm saying? And run yourself to the ground. But when do you take time for yourself?
Right.
When do you take time to recharge? When do you take time to, you know, just sit back and look at the bigger picture and see how far you've come from where you were? Right. You know, even just a year or 2 years ago, it's like, you know, sometimes you need that introspection, that self-reflection to really see that you're doing well.
Right. Yeah.
And stop comparing. Like, you're doing well. Like, your story is your story, man. So, yeah, it's true, bro. We got to slow down because it's like you're going 80 and you're not taking time to look left and right and see what's going around you. Like, slow down. Go 10. Go 5, you know, see what's happening around you.
I love that, man. Gratitude is power.
It is, man. The more you're grateful for, the more blessings flow into your life, man. For real.
So I want to fast forward just a little bit here. You know, you walked us through your journey in the beginning of this year, and what a journey it's been. But You said you went to Augustana University.
Yep.
And after graduating there, you started admissions there, correct? Or is that during?
Man, Augustana, that was a journey too, bro. Holy crap, man.
Well, tell us about it. Tell us about Augustana's journey.
Yeah, so I actually wasn't supposed to go there. So my dream school, because I have 2 older brothers who live in Salt Lake City area, suburbs of Salt Lake City. And throughout middle school and high school, I would, visit there pretty much every other summer, for a month, couple weeks. And I fell in love with the place, the nature, the people, the mountains, just the lifestyle, so much to do. So early senior year, that was the only school I applied to. I was like,
BYU?
University of Utah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the only school I applied to. I was dead set on that. Got my acceptance letter, had my roommates, all that. I just had to register for classes.
Oh, wow.
But then my best friend, shout out Christian, he was getting recruited for football at Augustana as an O-lineman. And he was going on his admission visit, and his counselor, who was also my admissions counselor, shout out to Casey Nichols, really amazing lady. But he invited me on the admissions visit, and I was like, why not? I already got my school figured out. I'm just going to go support my boy. Yeah. Be there to just kind of, on the side. It's a free admission visit. Why not?
Right.
Got some free merch. It was cool. But when I stepped foot on campus, it's like, and as I'll talk more about my admissions role, but I just had that gut feeling. Like, this is the place I need to be.
Wow.
Fortunately, it worked out really well because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, my mother's illiterate, can't read or write. So I helped her with a lot of stuff, like finances, taking her to work, picking her up from work, taking her to the grocery store, doctor's appointments, interpretation, stuff like that. So it's like I kind of had to think, like, man, if I go hundreds of miles away from my mom, who's going to help her? Because like I said, all my siblings were either out of the city or they were old enough to kind of begin their own lives, you know.
Right.
So went to Augustana, initially went in as an engineering physics major. Quickly found out that wasn't for me. Math and science, I'm not bad at it, but it's a whole different beast in college, you know what I mean? Like it really is. Like high school, science and math is cool. Like I was flying through that. Like, it was no issue. But when I got to college, and obviously having that autonomy, you're 18 years old, you're not living with your parents, you kind of have that freedom of choice to do whatever you kind of want to. So my freshman year, I think I failed like 2 or 3 classes because I was just bullshitting. I'll be honest, I was bullshitting, man. And so after my freshman year, I got a letter in my campus mailbox basically saying like, hey, I had like a 1 point something GPA. It was crazy. But they're like, hey, basically you need to get your shit together. Like if you don't get above a 2.0, you're going to get expelled. We're already going to put you on academic probation. But if you don't improve, you're out of here.
Right.
And being the first and only college graduate in my family, well, I'm like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? There's too much on my shoulders. There's too much riding on this for me to fail.
Right.
Yeah, basically got in the lab, the library. I was working 4 to 8. After classes, go home, change real quick, take my mom to work, go to the library for like 4 hours until it closed at midnight. Get a couple hours sleep. Mom calls me, wake up, go pick her up, then go at it the next day. Wow. You know what I mean? So I was really grinding. But sophomore year, got my grades up, got on the dean's list for spring semester, and then just kind of kept going. But yeah, like I said, started off engineering physics, went undecided for a little bit. And then shout out to Professor Nathan Grau and Dr. Michael Nitz.
Okay.
Grau was my engineering physics advisor and undecided advisor for a little bit. And then when I chose my degree that I graduated with, business administration and communication studies, then Michael Nitz was my advisor and my professor for a lot of my classes. And those two guys really helped me out through my journey of college. But graduated in 2017. And then, so when I graduated from college, I quit Hy-Vee because I was working at Hy-Vee in the deli for 3 years. And then I quit because that's when I went to Africa for about a month and a half. And then came back, and I was just kind of like in between jobs, like trying to figure out what I'm trying to do. And, I had a couple friends who were working at a juvenile detention center, a transitional facility for DOC inmates. And so I worked there for about close to a year. Then I left there and I went into staffing recruitment. So I worked at Aerotech for about a half a year. Moved to another company that was like medical staffing, did that for about a half a year. And then I went into Hy-Vee again, but as a manager at this point. Did that for a little over a year. And then that's when I went to Augustana. I went to Augustana, I think August of 2020. And that was wild because it was COVID. You know? It was my first year in education. It was just, it was crazy, bro. Like basically a large part of your role is traveling and doing college fairs, right? I couldn't do none of that. It was all virtual.
Right.
And it's my first year. I'm learning, like trying to basically roll with the punches, you know what I'm saying? And just, it was a tough year, but I was also fortunate because I was doing international recruitment, half domestic recruitment, Twin Cities, and then Africa and certain parts of Europe. And I was part of my first year, myself and the other international admissions counselor, Wade. We actually that year brought in the most international students.
Wow.
With COVID.
In a COVID
year.
Insane.
And then actually also brought in the largest class up to that point. And then the following year, we brought even a bigger class. Man. And then myself and all the counselors and the enrollment team that were there at the time, we had these plaques and we're part of the 500 club.
Wow.
So that was really cool. But yeah, man, just kind of a lot of different pathways when it comes to the professional world, just building different skill sets, working in different, industries, and just learning, trying to build skills as I'm going, and just trying to figure out what I'm trying to do as I'm kind of working those, different roles. So like a lot of learning, really, man. Augustana was really cool though. I mean, as a student and as a, faculty.
Right.
That was really dope.
That is really cool. Do you have, from your perspective, having been with the admissions, do you have any advice for people out there that are going into college on what to kind of expect, or any tips for them? Yeah,
start as early as possible. I'm trying to remember, but there's a few things that you should think about. Fit. How are you going to fit on campus as far as like, are your needs met? Right. Are there things on campus that you can see yourself getting involved in order to kind of make your own impact on campus? Location is important. Sometimes students want to go far away, from home. Some want to stay close to family, things like that. Right. But also, what is within that space, that community that you're going to school? Like, is it just a school? Because at that point, it's like, if it's just a school, then when you think about graduation and things like that, internships and trying to find work, that becomes tough.
Right.
And also, you want to be in a community where you can actually kind of immerse yourself and be a part of the community and, experience the city that you're in while you're at school, and kind of be able to go around and do different cool things with your friends or whatever. Major is important, definitely see if they got the major that you offer and what that major looks like within that university,
right?
And what you can do with it. And resources are huge, bro. See what resources are available to you as a student while you're on campus, whether that's tutoring, financial aid, office hours with professors. Like, how accessible are your professors? Because I know I used up office hours like crazy. I was always in my professor's office when I was in school.
And why was that important? Because I know I should have done a lot more of that.
Honestly, man, I think it puts a more human lens on you as like a student. Because it's easy for your professor to be like, oh yeah, Daquan's in my class. He comes to class every day, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't know anything about Daquan.
Right.
But if Daquan maybe once or twice a week or whatever it is stopping in the professor's office because maybe he has, he's struggling with an assignment or a concept, or, I know me personally, sometimes I would just kick it with my professors and just like talk and try to learn from them just from a life standpoint, because they're people who have a lot of experiences, in the educational side of things, but life as well.
Right.
So just building that kind of rapport with your professors, because in the long run, it'll help you out. Because say you, like I said, you're struggling or you need some extra time on your assignment because of X, Y, and Z, but your professor doesn't really know you like that. They're going to be like, no, you need to turn your stuff in like everyone else. Right. But if you have a relationship, I'm not saying kiss ass, but try to have a relationship with your professors. Try and get to know them get to know you. So if there are times where you need that extra help or that extra boost, they can be more compassionate towards you, because they know, hey, this kid is coming into class every day, he's busting his ass. I can give them his little break, you know, for maybe a couple of days extended on the assignment or whatever. But and also try and visit as many schools as you can. You know, I know it's easier for some students than others because of just, you know, their circumstances. But if you can visit as many schools as possible, I think that's one of the best things you can do. You can do all the research you want online. You know, every school looks good online.
Right.
Every school says, "Oh yeah, we're family. We got all this." You know what I'm saying? Like every school markets pretty much the same. Like, you know, but until you actually step foot on that campus, like the University of Utah, Augustana, that whole thing, you know, when I stepped foot on Augustana's campus, I was like, "This is where I'm going." Because I just knew at that point, my gut just told me, "Hey, this is where you need to go, bro." So until you can actually, and sometimes, you might not be able to because distance. But if you have a few schools within your list that are close in distance where you can travel maybe a couple hours, get there, fine, and get back, do it. Because then when you get on campus, a lot of the times, at least with Augustana, I don't know about other schools, but, you know, we would visit with the student and the family, usually at the last end of the point of the visit. But we would also, you know, set up professor visits. You know, if you were economics student, you want to major in economics, we would set you up with an economics professor. Or if you wanted to sit in on a class, we would sit you in on an economics class so you could see how it works. And then you visit with the professor. And then you visit with the financial aid. And then you know, a student is walking you around the campus, so they're telling you their experience as a student. So you're getting all these different perspectives. It's just very important to visit campuses as much as you can.
That is really cool.
That's probably number one that I would say. Visit campuses, because then you get a full picture of what it is. Then you can see, can I really picture myself on this campus, or this isn't really for me. But until you actually step foot on that campus, you're not really going to know.
Facts.
Yeah.
I like that. Appreciate you sharing that.
For sure.
I want to jump into the poetry. Right? I know that's something that you are working on currently. You've been putting on these events for a while now. Can you tell us about that and kind of why? Why you do it?
Like I said, I was our growth project for about 6 years. And I was working in the arts, education, arts, entertainment, kind of merging all those three together and just kind of putting on for youth of the city, you know, just giving them a platform, a safe space, safe haven to express themselves authentically, with no judgment, and kind of get them warmed up to their abilities, I guess you can say, you know, just showing them like, yo, you can do this, man. Like, it's hard because not a lot of people can speak in front of others. Like, that's not an easy skill to have. Like but just kind of getting them comfortable in that space as an artist, as a poet, as a dancer, as a public speaker, whatever it is, you know, giving them that opportunity to grow within that skill set or within that art that they had,
find themselves,
and trying to help them find themselves and showing them like, yo, you got support. You know, if you want to do this, you're more than welcome on the stage, and know that we're not going to judge you, even if you're an amateur or the best of the best. You know, we're gonna give you the same support. And I think that gave a lot of people that courage. And also the cool thing is, a lot of people who were involved in our growth project as far as participants go, like now, like seeing them, they've like taken off. And I'm not saying that we're the sole cause of that, but I do believe that we played a role in that ascension in themselves as an artist, you know, and as a person. And then once we kind of ended things, I started what's called Friends of the People, Friends of the People, for the people, by the people. I started that because, kind of selfishly, to be honest, I knew I wanted to stay within that realm of the arts, because the arts played a big role in my life, you know, just as a writer and kind of my development as a person too. But just started that because, one, I wanted to become more comfortable as a poet, you know, as a poet and as a writer. You know, I wanted to be able to practice reciting my poetry and, you know, kind of challenging myself to write new poetry for every event, you know. And then also, you know, there was already an existing poetry community. So big shout out to Rochelle Graham and David Kosiko. They actually invited me to one of their events to recite my poetry, and that was kind of my first time getting back into it as far as like consistency goes. So that was really cool. And then a few months after that, you know, I kind of started my own thing. I was just telling the homies like, man, I really want to do this thing, you know, this is what I want to do with it. And then one of my homies, James, first gen, he's like, bro, just do it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, just go, bro, do that shit. And I was like, you know what, you're right, bro. Like, yeah. Right. And then so he helped me set up the first event, which was in September of this past year, 2022. And then from there, just kind of got the ball rolling and, you know, reached out to local poets, you know, that I knew of and that I've witnessed recite as well. And like, yo, I'm doing this thing. Would you want to be part of it? And basically, I started it to kind of add my own flavor to the poetry community that was already existing, you know, kind of adding on to what the foundation was already laid, you know what I'm saying, but just doing it in my own way. Yeah. It helped me grow as a poet, you know, just challenging myself to write more and then getting in front of a mic and reciting it and being vulnerable and just like growing that muscle, I guess you can say. And, you know, it's been real cool. You know, people constantly support, you know, repost the flyers, you know, Full Circle Book Co-op. And it's an amazing venue. Sean and Kevin are dope, you know, owners, you know, they've been very supportive through it all. So it's just been a cool like learning journey, you know, just kind of being able to do something on my own. Yeah. And kind of just have full creative control over something, which is amazing. Yeah. As you guys know, you know, having your own podcast and kind of being able to curate it the way that you want to, bring in the people you want on here. Like it's a cool feeling, you know, just having that control to, I guess, control the narrative in a sense. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And just like, it's helped me kind of grow in my own right as a person. Right. You know?
For our listeners and viewers, if that's something that they wanted to be a part of, where can they go to be a part of this? Yeah,
honestly, man, just hit me up on Instagram. My handle is Sul, SUL_Dibba, DIBBA. DM me. Let me know if you perform or want to recite or just want to attend in general. Yeah. You know, I usually try and get the flyers out a couple weeks before the event date, so it gives people enough time to kind of plan. Typically, I do it the last Thursday of the month. Sometimes it switches up depending on the venue availability. Yeah. But yeah, if they want to get involved, if you're listening to this, hit me up, you know, on Instagram or Snapchat. I think my Snapchat is the same thing. It might just be Sul Dibba. But yeah, just hit me up, man. I'm always looking for, you know, new people to get involved and just trying to grow it organically, really. Yeah, it's been a real cool journey, but I'm always open and willing to have new people there. I think that's always a blessing when, you know, new people are able to step on the mic and share their poetry and then seeing new faces in the audience too. So, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, before we get into the next part of our episode here, I do want to ask another question that we ask each of our special guests. You know, obviously you've gone through a journey where you've learned a lot of things. You've taken a lot from it, where you're able to shape yourself, where you're also able to see your family members shape themselves as well. But our main thing that we have on here, and the reason that we call our podcast Overstepping Poverty, is because everyone has their own vision on what poverty is to them, you know, whether it's mental, physical, you know. So I just have to ask you, when you hear overstepping poverty, what does that mean to you?
Overstepping poverty to me starts in the mental. You know, obviously you have physical circumstances too, but, you know, you hear stories about people coming from the worst of places and making it out. Because I think for me personally, it starts mentally. One, getting rid of that scarcity mindset, you know, getting rid of that mindset that you're not abundant, you're not worthy of those things, you know, and due to your circumstances, you can't see yourself on the other side. But I think that conquering that mindset first and foremost is how you overstep poverty. Just believing that you're worthy, you know. I think everybody is worthy. Everybody is naturally abundant. You know, the universe is giving, you know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, you watch successful people or on YouTube or you're listening to different manifestation things, it's always like programming that subconscious. Yeah. You know, you got to program your subconscious because whether you do it consciously or not, it's being programmed. And that is either helping you out or it's deterring you from getting to where you need to be. So I think first and foremost, for me, overstepping poverty is conquering that self-doubt, conquering that negative mindset of you don't deserve it, you can't get it, you don't have the faculties or the resources to get to where you need to go. You may not in the moment, but if you believe it and you work towards it and you stay consistent, things are going to start moving out the way, you know. But then also another thing is educating yourself too. I think education, not just in a classroom, but education is important. Right. You know, a lot of people got phones, you know what I mean? A lot of people got access to technology. I can go back home to Africa and, you know, I can go to the village and you'll see kids walking around with an iPhone.
Right.
You know, so I think that we're in that age of technology where it's like, bro, YouTube and Google are free.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information out there. And I think that's also kind of deters people because there's so much out there.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, we have access to so much information. And I think the beauty of being in a city like Sioux Falls is a lot of people are accessible.
True.
A lot of people are accessible. A lot more accessible than you may think.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many people I've met with where it's like, hey, my name is Saul. You know, I do blah, 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 blah. I see you do this. It's an area of interest of mine. Can I get 20 minutes of your time? Yeah, sure. Yeah. When do you want to meet?
Right.
Yeah.
It's really a lot easier than
I swear. So it's like, yeah, that mindset, educating yourself, and then just trying to reach out and networking. You know, I think that's how those are ways that you can overstep poverty, because, you know, I may not have certain knowledge that can get me to that next step, but maybe Zach does.
Right.
Let me reach out to him and see not only what I can extract from him, but also maybe I have something that I can give him, because you know, every human you can learn from. Everyone is superior to you in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
So that you can learn from them and they can learn from you. So it's like, that's kind of my idea of overstepping poverty. Yep.
I love it.
I agree with a lot of that. Can you share? Because it sounds like you do watch a lot of YouTube.
I do.
What are, if someone who was going to go on there, what are some of the things that you watch pretty frequently to keep your mind where it needs to be?
I listen to a lot of Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill.
Gems.
This is going to be a controversial one, but Jordan Peterson.
Okay. I like Jordan.
You know, I like him. I think he's a very intelligent dude. I listen to like Steve Harvey. You know, I follow this podcast channel on Spotify called The Resilient Mind, where they have just a lot of, it's just about mindset, you know, kind of changing, you know, your view on different things and just how to get certain things in your life. And it has a lot of different speakers like Jim Rohn, Steve Harvey, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Jay Shetty, and see who else. Just a lot of different, Napoleon Hill's on there too. Oh, what's his name? I know you guys talked about
Proctor.
him. Yeah, Bob Proctor, bro. That dude, he's a beast, man. R.I.P. to him for real. Like
he learned from Earl.
Yeah, he definitely, you know, helped me out. And I've read a few books too that help kind of shift my mindset. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Okay.
That's been a really helpful book for me. The 4 Agreements. It's not necessarily about business acumen or anything like that, but it's such a commonsensical book, but it's stuff you wouldn't really think about. You know, the 4 agreements are, you know, be impeccable with your word, you know, speak and move with integrity. Like if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you can't, say you can't. Right. Always do your best. You know, your best changes in different states. If you're sick, your best is different. If you're feeling down, your best is different. If you're healthy, your best is different. But just always do your best. Don't take anything personal, because a lot of the times when people, I guess, react or act towards you, it's something internally that has nothing to do with you. And then don't make assumptions. If you're thinking something and you're not sure, ask the question. Get clarity.
Right.
So that's helped me out a lot in my life, and I'm definitely, I can't say, you know, I'm always 100% with that, but I always keep that in my mind, you know, and those things have helped me out a lot.
I've needed some books to read as well.
Yeah,
so
4 Agreements. Perfect. 4 Agreements. I would recommend to anybody listening to this podcast. That's an amazing book. It's life changing. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Okay.
Amazing book. I've read that probably 5 times.
Man,
it's an amazing book.
I'm gonna have to check it out for sure.
Yep.
I appreciate you sharing that stuff, because I watch a lot of the same people, but there's a few that you named in there that I'm definitely gonna have to tap into.
No, those are.
You're right. There is so much information on YouTube. They don't call it YouTube University for no reason.
Right.
You can literally learn pretty much whatever you want on there. So
literally
take the time.
Take advantage, man. Take the time, figure out what you want to do, and then just kind of go from there and break it down.
Yeah. Thanks. So I want to move into our next part of our episode here, where we call as roundtable, where you can go ahead and ask Zacchaeus and I questions that you've had. You know, obviously we gave you some questions to be prepared for. We're not prepared for whatever you have, so so fire away.
One of my questions I want to ask is, you know, as I said earlier, you know, you guys bring a plethora of different types of folks on this show, and you always ask, you know, what is your idea of overstepping poverty? You know, both your ideas of overstepping poverty, but then also how do you kind of implement that mindset into your everyday to ensure that you are, you know, taking steps to overstep poverty?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And to me, I think my biggest thing is exactly in agreement with you, is it's mindset. The way that we do take the steps, I feel like, and the reason we started our podcast off how we did, is we gave everyone a roadmap on how to take those steps to really take that next step overstepping poverty. You know, obviously, whether it's your network that you're with, whether it's kind of building with each other and making sure you have the right mindset, whether it's your physical, you know, mentality, or your emotional, your mental mentality, just making sure that you are good before you try and help other people. Because if you're not good and you're trying to help other people, it's just not going to work when it comes to that there. So yeah, that's my biggest thing when it comes to overstepping poverty. It's that education. It's those connections, you know, it's really making sure that you are good. Because when you're good, there's no reason that you should ever be down in the dirt, you know? So.
Right.
For sure.
For me, you know, it's a few different things, especially when, you know, because none of us are perfect, right? No. Obviously, we all go through our own things. We have to rely on our family, our spirituality, whatever. But really, both of you guys hit it. For one, I agree 100%. It is all in the mental. You know, you hit the nail on the head when you said there's people that came from places that people look at as the worst of the worst. There's no way somebody would be successful if they came from there. And they turn out to be oftentimes some of the most successful people in the world.
Right.
You know, it is really about changing the mindset. One of my favorite episodes that we did at the beginning was the power of the tongue.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like the things that we say every single day that we don't even know. We're not even aware of the things that we're saying and how much power they have over us, you know. So for me, I try to be conscious of the things that I'm saying. Like if I do something dumb, I'm like, damn, I'm dumb and then I'll like catch myself like, I'm not dumb type of thing, right?
Yeah,
or just a lot of different things like that. So you know, and all that came really from me diving into my spirituality. That's where I learned a lot of that stuff of, you know, just kind of going inward, looking inside of myself and analyzing what needs to change, you know, to get where I want to go. But there's also another quote that I really like, and is think with the end in mind. I've always been like a long-term thinker, you know, with whatever, whether it's when I was doing life insurance, like that's something you probably won't even see in your lifetime. But long-term, you know that it's going to help the next generations after you. Getting married, for me personally, being with the same person for over 11 years now, that long term, like you set that foundation with people and you just build, you know, and the right people will come, the wrong people will fall off, but it's the marathon, right? Like Nipsey said, you got to just keep going, and you're not going to be perfect.
Can't give up.
Absolutely. That's a good question.
That was.
My second one is, you know, you mentioned it briefly about, you know, filling your cup, making sure you're good. But how do you guys, like, doing all that you do, you know, the podcast, family, marriage, you know, professional life, personal relationships, how do you guys make sure that you are good?
Yeah.
What do you do to make sure that, all right, this is my time, I'm doing this, you know, that kind of thing? Like, what do you guys do to make sure that you're good? Because I think, before you answer, I think it's very important, and I'm learning this because I'm somebody who, I get antsy if I'm sitting for too long. I'm used to just go. And I'm learning now, like we said earlier, kind of slowing down and taking that time. But what do you guys do to fill your cup and recoup and make sure that you're good?
For me, honestly, I noticed it a lot after my first year in mortgage. Like the whole first year, I was just grind, like nonstop. You know, we're starting the podcast, have a little one, you know, all the things. And I was trying to be everything for everybody, right? And you definitely come to a point where you hit a wall and it's like, feel like everything's falling apart, but all you really need is rest. Right? And to let certain things go. So for me, on the day-to-day, again, it is a lot of spirituality, a lot of thinking or meditating, but also you have to analyze the things, and I'm getting better at it. I'll say yes, like I said, you want to be everything for everybody. I'll say yes to a lot of people, but sometimes not everything is worth your energy.
Your time, exactly.
You know, and getting better at that definitely has helped me in my mental, you know, especially when it comes to work. Some things can wait till tomorrow. Or if I'm with family, I need to be with family. And a lot of times I'll just kind of leave my phone in the room or something so I'm not tempted to look at it and grab it. Because it's easy to just pick up the phone and get back onto it. But for me, it is that, you know, trying to disconnect. You know, I love the family park here in Sioux Falls. I got just go sit by some water, just kind of get into solitude. For me, I need to be alone sometimes and just think and then recharge. So
absolutely,
that's what I do.
Love that. You know, for me, it kind of goes way back to my childhood and whatnot. As everyone knows, I'm a very competitive guy. I love sports. I play a ton of sports. When I say I'm competitive, that's probably like I'm competitive. Like I have to win. But anyways, like just from a kid, I ran to sports to find my family and my friends, you know, and that's where I kept, whether it was basketball, football, if I wasn't doing a sport, I felt like I never was really myself, you know? And so like, as we fast forward and where I'm at today, I still do those sports. And one of the sports that I really have found liking to is golf, because it's so mental, you know, and I'm a very mental person as well, where just your mindset and everything, you have to keen into it. And it actually kind of takes me back about a week or two ago. I'm playing golf with my wife, and she's just getting upset, and she keeps chopping at the ball. And she keeps seeing me. If I hit a bad shot, I'm just like, it's on to the next one. Like this one's already over. I can't change it. You know, it's on. What are you going to do now to, you know, do better on that? And she just looks at me and she asks me, and she's like, how do you even do it? How do you do it? Like, I'm so frustrated. I want to quit. And I'm like, and I just looked at her. I'm like, Megan, I'm like, this sport, I wish I knew when I was in high school. Because this is going to allow you to really be one with yourself and really control you. You'll control your mood. You'll control your actions.
It's an individual game.
Your your mentality, you know? And so where you ask how I fill my cup, that's where I'm actually filling my cup. Zach knows, you know, when it's too, exactly. I mean, I'm enjoying the sun, you know, but Zacchaeus knows I have to have a day where I golf, but that's because that's like my me time. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to do it just myself. I'll go with other people, but I'm in my head right there. I'm like, so that's where I fill my cup.
He's not lying either.
I got one last question, and it's a fun one.
Yeah.
But what was your favorite cartoon growing up?
Ooh,
that is a good one. DD, why are you in my laboratory? That's probably not even close, but Dexter's Laboratory, man.
Laboratory,
I love that. Yeah, that was.
Dude,
oh, DD.
DD.
Bro, man, Dexter's that show, man, was just different, dude. He's like world domination all day, every day. He's just so oblivious to everything.
Oh my gosh.
I would say for me, there's a few that come to mind. You know, I loved Ed, Edd and Eddy. I really messed with Rocket Power when that was out.
Rocket Power.
A bunch of different stuff like that. But yeah, I would probably say out of those ones, Ed, Edd and Eddy. And I actually really messed with Phineas and Ferb.
Oh yeah.
That was probably actually one of my favorite ones.
Mine all time is Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry.
That's my all time. Tom and Jerry, Rocket Power was definitely up there. Looney Tunes. I love Looney Tunes, man. Like Yosemite Sam, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky, you know, all those cats, man. It's like, so
That's
Courage
crazy.
the Cowardly
Courage.
Dog.
I was scared to watch Courage.
Really?
I was too.
It was always late too. I was watching that.
Courage was different, bro.
I was going through some demons watching that.
Yeah,
I liked Recess too.
Oh, Recess was fire. Recess was fire. I loved
Recess. One of them ones I would get out of school, go home, turn some Recess on about 4:00.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Oh yeah.
Wait till the fam get home, but yeah, man.
Well, I'm going to turn this back around to you here, Saul. You know, you've been giving us some great intellect. You're a very, like I said, positive person. You've had your journey. You've been throwing out some gems for everyone, not just us, but of course our listeners and viewers.
For sure.
So I actually want to ask you to give 5 more. So I want you to tell us 5 tips, tricks, and hacks that you would tell someone and how to take the next steps over poverty.
Like kind of how you said, you know, having an end goal in mind. I think one thing is, man, dream big. Like don't limit yourself to your circumstance. You know, don't limit yourself to what you see and what you hear. The world is literally for the taking. So just figuring out what is it that you like to do? How do you want to, I guess, excel in that thing? And then just don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Mm-hmm. One thing is, what I see a lot is people don't want to be role players. Mm. Everyone wants to be the boss right away.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how it works, you know. You might have to, you know what I'm saying, get the rebounds for a little bit.
Right.
And then you might start dishing a little bit. And then you might start getting the ball a little bit and putting up shots. Right. And then you might start coaching. You know what I mean? Then you might get into the GM spot, you know. So it's like you have to be willing and open to take those small steps towards what you're trying to do. And you might have to start at ground zero at doing the grunt work, you know, getting your hands dirty, like learning those skills. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you gotta humble yourself,
right,
in order to get to where you want to get to. Because like I said, there's always someone who has more knowledge that you can gain from. So it's like, humble yourself, bro.
Right.
It's like figuring out what that thing is that you want to do, and then reaching out to those people in that area that you're trying to get into and see how you can learn from them. You know what I'm saying? See how you can get your face out there. Go to events, you know, that are happening. You know, get your face known, you know, network, you know, introduce yourself to people. And I know that's not easy to do, but that's going to help you tremendously. Like, tremendously, bro. Like, I'm okay getting my hands dirty. Like, I know I don't know everything. So it's like, if I know that what we're doing right now, you know way more than me, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to listen. I'm going to work. Yeah. And as I'm doing that, I'm learning. And I'm asking you questions, you know, and I'm humbling myself because I know I don't know it all. You know, and I think people need to really get that. Like, it's okay to not know it all. It's okay to not be the boss right away. You're going to get there. You're going to be the boss one day, but that doesn't happen overnight. Instant gratification is the killer of all dreams. You know, wanting to get there right away. And then you just don't do anything because you're like, oh, why am I not here? This person is here. Like, don't compare yourself to that person. You don't know what they had to do to get there. Don't watch their pockets. Don't watch their success. That has nothing to do with you.
Facts.
Do what you can do in that moment, in those moments, to get to that next step. So yeah, humble yourself, figure out what you want to do, and then see how you can navigate spaces to eventually get to that end goal.
Right.
Educate yourself. You know, educate yourself. Like I said, we have access to so much technology and information. It's like there's YouTube videos, you know, there's seminars, there's all these things. You know, educate yourself, bro.
Right.
You know, there's audio books that you can buy. You know, you can go to Barnes and Noble or even Full Circle Book Co-op, you know, different places where you can buy books to kind of help you attain different skills, give you different knowledge in different areas. And yeah, so educating yourself is another huge thing. Let's see, invest in yourself.
100%.
That's probably one of the top ones. Investing doesn't just include money.
Right.
You know, investing in yourself includes your health. You know, what are you eating? Are you getting out and exercising? You know, are you giving yourself enough rest? You know, are you doing all of these things? Because when you give yourself the opportunity to operate at an optimal level, by eating right, by exercising, by getting enough sleep or whatever it is, that gives you more energy to do what you need to do.
Right.
You know, back to filling your cup up, you know. Also, you know, investing in yourself. Like I said, I think it's super important to be connected to the source. You know, build that personal relationship. You know what I mean? Speak out loud. You know what I mean? They can hear you. And they already know what's on your mind. Speak out loud, you know what I mean? Have that conversation and also listen. Be still enough to where you can take in that information too.
Right.
Because, you know, we all have that inner voice. So invest in yourself that way. And also, yeah, man, invest monetarily too. If you can go afford a seminar, go to a seminar.
Right.
You know, go to a seminar, take a class, you know what I mean? Go on YouTube and learn something. Like, invest, man. It's like we're giving our money to all these different things, whether that's, you know, going out and having fun, you know, entertainment purposes, you know, buying all kinds of stuff. Like, why not keep that money in house and invest in yourself?
Right.
You know, that money that's going out, that's not coming back to you. And of course, it's money comes and goes. It comes, you know, like you get it today, you spend it tomorrow, get it back.
Right.
You know, but that money that you invest in yourself and that time you invest in yourself, that's only going to compound,
man,
you know, into other things. You know what I'm saying? So that's 3. Another one that I think is important, I think just being open-minded, man. Just be open-minded. You don't know the possibilities that can come, bro, just by being open-minded, you know?
Right.
I can't tell you the amount of times where I see an event or I see, you know, a networking thing or a seminar, and I'm like, I'm tired. That looks goofy. You know, I don't think I can get much out of that. But then something's like, just go. You know what I mean? Just go check it out. You know, see what they're talking about. And I meet somebody or I hear a piece of information that I was like struggling with or trying to figure out. And I'm like, damn, I'm so glad I went.
Right.
Because if I didn't go, I wouldn't have been able to get over that hurdle or that hump that was stopping me from kind of taking that next step into, you know, towards my goal or whatever it may be.
Right.
I've met amazing people, you know, throughout my life. I've been fortunate to have people who want to pour into me too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a blessing in itself because, like I said, man, so many people have so much knowledge out there, like, because time is so valuable. So if somebody is willing to take time out of their day and invest in Zacchaeus because they see something within Zacchaeus that you don't see yet, and they unlock that potential within you, and then now you are seeing from a different lens and a different perspective, that's a game changer, bro.
Right.
Man.
That is a game changer because then that flips your mindset in a way where it's like, damn, I wasn't even thinking this way before, or I didn't even know I can take this avenue to get to this place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But this person or these people or this seminar, whatever it is, kind of gave me that light bulb moment where it's like, damn, that's what I needed. You know, now it's like, now you got a battery in your back and you just want to go more, you know?
Someone say that's the source.
Exactly, man. The source, man. I'm telling you, bro. Like, get right with the source, man. Just like every day, you know, talk with them. I think lastly, man, if you're able to get a mentor, get a mentor. Like I said, I've been super blessed to have people older than me want to invest into me because they see my potential through my hard work, what I've done and what I'm doing, to say, hey, I can give some of my time to this kid, you know, kind of guide him a bit to where, because like there's been times, bro, where like I've been in rooms where by myself I wouldn't even know the room was there. But because I had a mentor that believed in me, and they're like, yo, hit me up or text me like, this is going on, meet me over here.
Right.
And because now, I'll kind of back up a little bit. Somebody's always watching. Always, somebody's always watching.
That's the truth.
So if you're on your P's and Q's, bro, you on your game, you're doing what you need to be doing, you're grinding, you know, you're taking the time to try and elevate yourself. Somebody, whether you know them or not know them, is going to get a hold of you somehow, some way, and they're going to take you and elevate you into another space that you didn't know was there. Like, there's been times where, you know, I've had multiple mentors throughout my time. You know, I've kind of been on this grind for about 10 years since I was like 18. So from 18 till now, I turned 28 next month. I've had mentors who, just by me being in, like, next to them in their space, somebody I know but don't know that is in a more elevated space comes up and talks to the mentor, and then by me just being next to them, they're talking to me now and figuring out who I am and what I do.
Right.
And then that builds a connection with that person, and then it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, if you can, bro, get a mentor, bro. It's such a game changer, and it can speed up the process, bro.
That's a cheat code.
It's really a cheat code, because you get in the knowledge, you get in the wisdom. They've already been through the fire, and you can jump over it. You know, you don't have to go through it anymore. Like, they gave you the blueprint. Like, yo, this is what I did. I got burnt, so don't do this. Go around. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a game changer, bro. It's a game changer.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. I can definitely say you're light years ahead of your time. You know what I'm saying? You've learned a lot, and you were able to teach us a lot just from this time being here. And I really hope our listeners are really taking in everything that was said there, especially those 5 tips, tricks, and hacks, because man, those are gems. Yeah, exactly. So again, we appreciate you being on our podcast here.
Thank you, man. For
Absolutely.
real. I appreciate you guys welcoming me onto this podcast. And like I said, man, you guys got an amazing platform, and sky is not the limit, you know, it's limitless, but you guys are going to take this to a whole nother level. And I'm excited to not only be a part of it, but also see the growth coming, you know, in the future as well. So, you know, nothing but well wishes for you guys, man. Nothing but, you know, support and solitude, man. And if I can help out in any way, you know, let me know. I'm always trying to, you know, help my brothers out. And, you know, I appreciate you guys for giving me the platform to speak and share my story. So I don't get to do that a lot. So it's always cool when people think that I have a cool enough story to share. So I appreciate it,
brother. I appreciate you as well. We're blessed to have you on here. I know there's going to be people that take a lot away from this interview. And for the listeners, again, friends of the people. Shout out to Sul. Reach out to him if you're interested in being a part of that and getting your poetry out to the world.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate you guys, man.
Yes, and we'll see you next week on Overstepping Poverty. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Overstepping Poverty. We hope you found this week's discussion informative and thought-provoking. We know that tackling poverty is a complex issue, but by working together and understanding the root causes, we can make progress towards creating a more equitable society. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our show. Until next time, let's take the next steps in Overstepping Poverty.